All right. So it sounds to me like you have seen in Search Console the number of pages indexed on a site decreasing and the number of non-indexed increasing.
I have, and I at one point had tried to, I checked a couple of the links and had Google check them and reindex them. And eventually I decided I needed to just leave it for a bit because I was getting these errors, even though it said it was fine and indexable. So I left it for a while and it's still going down a little bit.
When you said errors, what do you mean?
It's wherever you get the email that says Google search.
A notification.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What did the notification tell you about?
Let me look. I have to go to a different email account.
Okay, everybody, how many email accounts you have?
Oh my gosh.
Innumerable.
I don't have enough fingers and toes.
Right, exactly. So while you're looking for that, I'm first of all, I'm glad you're looking in Search Console. That should be part of something we do every week for all of our clients. The Search Console report is just the best way to see how Google is understanding our content. And I'm glad you looked in there and saw it. When we look at that report in Search Console, to make you rest assured a little bit, sometimes we don't necessarily want every page indexed, right? So what we're looking for in that report is, are there important pages not indexed? So for instance, if it's a page 6 of the awesome sauce category blog posts, don't care if it's indexed, right? If it's a blog post, then we should start paying attention to that. If it's a landing page that sells services, then we absolutely need to panic, right? If it's the privacy policy, who cares, right? That's just an internal page. So once we determine that, okay, the pages in the no indexed report are ones that we really kind of don't care, because not every page exists for SEO purposes, right? Sometimes it's, explaining who we are or just in navigation, and so that's okay. But did you find the error that you saw?
Okay, well, I had the email on one account. I had to log into another account to look at Search Console. So I do, it said some fixes failed for page indexing issues on site.
Okay.
Okay, and now I'm going to the actual link. Okay, it just brought me up. The link for more information just took me to validation failed.
Okay.
And the regular page indexing not found.
Sure. So let's go to, within the Search Console account, let's go to the report that shows us pages that are not indexed.
Okay.
And it will give you a list of all the pages that are indexed and potentially a graph showing you, and that's increasing, you say.
The overall, that's all the not indexed rather than, just the crawled currently not indexed, which is more what I was trying to look at when I was messing with these. To try and have it index them or index them initially. that is going up, apparently.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just not looking at the right set of numbers.
Right.
Shall we
And
say.
crawled but not indexed is different than, like you say, there's an index pages and there's crawl but not. So some of Google Search Console says, hey, we know this exists, but we haven't crawled it yet. And sometimes they've crawled it and they've determined not to index it based on the crawl. Okay. So in the pages that it's listing as, and this is not definitive, this is a sample, what are you noticing about those pages that are not indexed?
And it says crawled currently not indexed. That's trending up.
Right. So there's more and more that have been crawled but are not being indexed. But when it lists the pages underneath that,
Okay, let me see.
what are you noticing about the pages listed?
Oh, yeah, there are ones that aren't. Let's see. You could give me more. Some of them aren't regular pages. Some of them are. Some of them end with like feed or
Right.
some version number.
Right. So feed is way WordPress works. Like every page has a feed based on comments. And frankly, we kind of really don't care if Google indexes the feed. You might be able to help by turning off the ability of the website to even have comments if you're not managing comments. And then you'll get a bunch of 404 errors. But that's okay because those pages no longer exist. And that's what we want. We don't want Google to even see them.
Okay. So
the feed is okay. If what are some of the others that are not feed related? Like version numbers in it is usually a JavaScript file or a CSS file.
that one, let me go back. Yeah, that's a JavaScript file.
Right. Okay, Google, don't index JavaScript. I don't care.
Does would there be some image links as well
Good question.
in there?
There's tags. Okay. Project types.
This Google's probably smart enough to not even like
Let's see.
report on that.
Well, tags are like, again, a navigational thing. And it
Yeah.
might, but we can talk about, the fact that sometimes websites go a little cray-cray when they start tagging blog posts and they just tag on every other word they can think of. And they just create this confusing mess of tags that are totally not necessary.
Okay.
And frankly, if you've done that, I don't blame Google for ignoring them.
Yeah.
If
some
I find the
portfolio.
person who gave advice to SEOs saying, hey, you should start tagging your blog posts and that helps your SEO, I'm going to punch him in the face. That's the stupidest advice I've ever heard. Tags are a way to organize your content so people can find it easier and click to it, but it doesn't like help your SEO to tag posts. It just creates almost a spider trap isn't the right word, but an unnecessary amount of pages for Google to crawl that frankly, we don't really want. Like, so it might be a problem where the tagging of posts is a little crazy, or sometimes you said portfolio pages.
Yeah.
Is this a site that has a portfolio?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty big
Because
one.
sometimes themes and stuff will have a portfolio component, but it's not really used, right? And so
Yeah.
that point, you just got to turn it off in the back end because
Oh.
you're not using it. But if you're using it,
Yeah.
well, and often portfolios are like simply images.
This one's got mostly images.
Right.
It's got a little text.
Yeah.
That's the rest of what it's not liking seems to be portfolio pages. They're live.
So oftentimes portfolio pages are, if let's suggest, I don't have any idea what client this is. Let's say this might be a web development company, right? And a web development company might have a list of portfolio of all the sites they worked on. And so they say, here's a beautiful picture of the site we worked on. We worked on it for this company. Maybe they even link to the company. Okay. All the content on the page. There's not enough content for Google to sink its teeth into. Now, if you wrote a 200-300 word description of the, not just the company, but like the process and the problem you were trying to solve when you created this website, and like, then it becomes a very helpful portfolio piece, because it's like, we don't just create a beautiful site, we solved a problem, and this is the problem we solved. And now Google will have enough words, and frankly, users will have enough value in that page to index it.
Is it worth doing that for each,
Right.
say for each client? If is it worth doing that, and not just in the sense of like what we did to solve their problem, which is great, but what like their business does. That's what we have on there now.
Right.
It's like what, a little blurb about the business. Here's a link.
Right. In that case, I don't think it's worth it, because it's just an internal navigation page. If people want to view a web development company's sites to say, hey, I like the way these people work and this is great, but you're not necessarily going to get a new customer that way. If you blew it out and talked about it as a solution, and maybe it's not even about the company, maybe it's with the industry, and maybe it becomes a landing page about web development for plumbers or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And so then it becomes maybe helpful if you can show keyword research volume for these kind of ideas. But ultimately, that page probably exists for users, not for search engines. And that's Google says, hey, I'm not going to index it, isn't mean you suck. It means like, okay, so great. Only people who are on your website or on this web development company site or whatever they're portfolioing, an internal designer might have a portfolio page, right? Yeah. Well, great. Humans can still navigate to it. It's just not a page that's going to be a landing page driving additional traffic.
Okay.
And so
to be the case, it is basically all tags and portfolio pages. And I think I was trying to like put, it's like, why aren't the portfolio pages like those are pages? So, but that makes sense.
Yeah. It's kind of our SEO strategy. And remember, part of the process of Curious Ants I'm recommending is that you create what we call an SEO blueprint, which is kind of a map of all the pages and the ideas that we're focusing on for each of those pages. And not every page is going to have a keyword focus. For instance, your About Us page. That should be about your company, right? We're not going to SEO the About Us page, right? Plus, we have to remember, we're not picking 1 or 2 words for every page. We're picking a list of words per page. And so sometimes old school SEO, we used to pick a list of words that we want to rank for, and we'd like put them amongst different pages. And so we'd optimize the About Us page for a variation of a keyword we wanted. But Google is much more sophisticated than that now. They lump words together and use synonyms, kind of like we talked about last week when we saw about the spelling variations, right? So it doesn't worth it to build a page for every keyword or try to optimize every page for a different keyword. Think topically about the page, understanding there's many keywords. And so we'll find that there may be some pages that we have no SEO use for, but they're very, very important for helping someone decide to make a purchase. For instance, on my main site, I have a testimonials page, right? And every time someone says something nice to me, I put it on there, right? Or I have a credentials page and shows, here's my certifications, here's who I've written for, here's where I've spoken before. But I'm not really expecting to get traffic for that. But however, someone's trying to consider whether they want to work with me or not, I can see that they visit that page in that process before they even contact me. So it's not an SEO page, but I get conversions because of it, right?
Right.
And portfolio probably works the same way. It's not an SEO page, but that's okay. Or other pages. And creating the SEO blueprint to say, here's where we're focusing also prevents us from getting distracted by this. Now we could develop an SEO strategy to try to build more traffic to portfolio pages and possibly get more traffic and customers from it. But I think there's probably other opportunities that might pay off better.
Okay.
But that's I like the way you thought about this, because that's how we think about these reports. The reports are telling us what Google's doing, but just because they're doing something like not indexing a page, okay, it makes sense to me that page is not indexed, right? It's not Google saying you suck or your website's terrible. In fact, the site, you could be doing everything right. Blogging as frequently as possible, like writing really great and new additional landing pages. Well, as you do that, the archives, for instance, or as you have successful websites built, your portfolio pages are going to be increasing.
Right.
And therefore, the non-indexed pages is going to be increasing, but you're doing everything right. And so we don't, we just need to look and see, okay, now if your main service area here, I build interior design projects page that is part of your SEO blueprint is in that list, then we figure that out, right?
Okay.
Right.
No, it looks all.
Or God forbid the homepage appear on that list, which I have seen before and is not really great. But good question.
Well, that makes me feel better anyway.
Good. And that's what we're all about, feeling better.